So I'm there, and a few hours later, because they'd already got the word to the Fresno car that I was a Fresno boy.
Yeah.
And as you know, in prisons, cars like to build their bodies. They like as many people of their people.
Yeah.
And then it goes into bigger cars after that. But anyway, so I'm there and I'm walking around in my little cell, getting used to it. And I'm single cell because, we didn't have that many people. And all of a sudden I hear this guy go, "Hey, homeboy." And I turn around, this big blonde-haired guy, long hair, beard, standing there, and he goes, "You're from Fresno, right?" And I already see that I don't want to know this guy to begin with. So I look at him, I go, "Konas to Tumakara, Jiugwichmushin, and Maniskimi, Aeronacte too, Shah." And the guy looks at me, kind of blinks like Jabba the Hutt a couple of times, turns and looks down the tier and goes, "Are you sure he's white? He doesn't even speak English." And then the guy walks away.
Yeah. So that's going to get back to the shot caller.
Well, it goes back to the shot callers and everybody else, and they're all like, because now they're checking the guy who gave them the information.
Right.
"Are you sure?"
Yeah.
And he's like, well, that type of thing. So 3 days go by, and basically...
They can't figure you out.
Well, nobody's come by for 3 days, right?
Yeah.
But there's a Portuguese guy up above me, and we're talking through the vent. And we're talking in English, because I don't really speak Portuguese.
Yeah.
I speak a little Spanish, but not in Portuguese. Well, guys hear me speaking English. So next thing I know, this really, really big guy shows up. The guy's like, 6'8", 300 some odd pounds, black hair,
This is a white gang member.
big white guy. Yeah.
Is it Aryan Brotherhood?
Well, it's all part of the Aryan Brotherhood at that time. Because at Folsom at the time, you basically had only two factions of, quote, whites. You had the Aryan Brotherhood,
Yeah.
and you had the bikers.
Yeah.
And some bikers did run with the Aryan Brotherhood, particularly if they were, weren't really from a real substantial club or something like that.
Yeah.
But we had Hell's Angels on the yard and stuff like that.
So they had their own clique separate from
Yeah,
the AB.
I mean, they would sometimes align, but that was at their choosing, not the AB's choosing, basically.
Okay.
But at this point, I'm not claiming anything at all. I'm
Yeah.
just there. Anyway, so the guy comes and I do the same thing, and he goes, No, I know you can speak English. So I look at him. I told him, yeah, when it's as a courtesy.
Yeah.
I said, but English is not my first language. I said, Gaelic is my first language because Martha was from Ireland, and until I was almost 6, that was the first language I learned, and she called it mommy speak.
Yeah.
So we had a language of our own. But then looking like me, and at that time, I had brown hair with copper, auburnish coloring it, blue eyes.
Yeah.
In Arizona, speaking only Gaelic, kind of would front us off.
Yeah.
So I had to learn English. Right?
Yeah.
So that's where they came about. So anyway, but he goes, well, what are you? And I never claimed white at any given time in my life. If anything, I claimed Celt.
Yeah.
So I told him, well, I'm a Celt.
Yeah.
And he's like, the hell's a Celt? And I told him, well, like the Irish, the Scots, and they go, oh, I'm part Irish. I said, wait a minute, but you don't know what a Celt is, and you don't know Gaelic.
Yeah.
Oh no, man, that's really hard shit. I don't understand. Well, I don't know what to tell you. So he goes like, well, when you come out, the guys want to talk to you.
Yeah, but they do.
Oh, okay, whatever. And he's like, so you're from Fresno? I said, no. He goes, it says on the car. I said, I fell out of Fresno. I'm not from Fresno.
Yeah.
And he goes, well, where are you from? I said, I lived, 8 years in Fresno, 8 years in San Diego, and most of my life in Phoenix. And I said, but I've been told I was born on the Isle of Man.
Yeah.
Which is why my back arms say Manx spread, because all my ink is pre-prison.
Yeah.
But some of my ink was done by guys who learned their trade in prison.
Right.
But they did it on the streets using prison-style style guns.
Yeah.
That was cheaper to make than buying ones.
So you're at Folsom, Aryan Brotherhood, they're like, Celtic? Who is this guy?
Yeah. So I get cleared to go to the yard because there's nothing wrong with anything in my background.
Yeah.
I get out there, and the yard's divided up. You've got this set of bleachers, steps and seats belong to the white area. This one here is the Mexican Mafia's area.
Yeah.
This here is the Black Guerrilla family area. This is the Bloods and Crips areas are over here. And you got the Paisas area. And then you got the others. And the others at that time encompassed all Asians, Native Americans, Pacific Islanders, and actually at that time even Central and South Americans could fall under others if they wanted to.
Okay.
And so I go out.
How many people on the yard do you estimate?
Probably about, at this time, there's probably about 250 to 300.
And how many whites?
Probably about maybe about 35.
Okay.
So I walk out, and 3 guys come from the white group over to me, and they said, "Hey, this guy Wesley wants to talk to you."
Is that the shot caller?
He's one of the shot callers.
Yeah.
He's not the shot caller. He's one of the lieutenant
Okay.
shot callers, I
Yeah.
think. So I go over, and they're on the weight pile, and so there's more whites on the weight pile, and the weight, same thing. You got them divided up among different races, whose weights are what. Nobody
Yeah.
can share weights, and this was a big thing for me in prison, was that you weren't allowed to share things. You couldn't take food off of another race's plates. All these little knick-knack things. Because on the streets I was never racist, and I never had these issues, and I couldn't really understand. And then I always threw them for a tizzy when like they talk about food. Can't take food off a black man's plate. And I said, but a black man put the food on your plate. And that was beyond their understanding. They couldn't comprehend that.
Or usually if they run out of drugs, they'll go to the other races to get
and that's
the
why I used
drugs.
to tell them. I said, wait a minute. Here, let me understand this. I can't take perfectly good food he hasn't touched off his plate, but you'll shoot drugs that came out of a black man's rear end. So that's another set of, where it's a different thing. Okay.
Yeah.
So anyway, we walked over, and Wesley there, and Wesley's not driving iron. He's sitting there like he's in holding court.
Yeah.
And he's got like the biggest buffed up white guys around him.
He's got the Nazi tattoos and stuff.
And he's got the lightning bolts and swastikas, and he's like that. And he's just, So we understand you have an identity crisis. And I told him, no, I don't have an identity crisis. I know exactly who the hell I am. I said, but some of these guys that are part Irish don't know what they are. And they're kind of looking at me and stuff. Because what a lot of people don't know is the Aryan Brotherhood had 2 different factions in it.
Yeah.
There was the Irish side and the German side.
Yeah.
And before they were the Aryan Brotherhood, they were actually the Bluebirds.
Okay.
Was the original white gang was called Bluebirds.
Okay.
And so the old guys have a bluebird tattooed usually on their bicep or on their ankle.
Right.
And then they became, and they had a guy named Bulldog who actually, when they were coming together as Aryan Brotherhood, this guy Bulldog was the guy that became the leader of the Irish side, and this other guy became the German side. But
so were you in early enough to actually meet George?
Oh, I met Bulldog.
People who started the.
Oh yeah, I met Bulldog a couple of years later at another prison.
And did they tell you why they started it?
Well, it started originally as a protection thing because whites tended to come in and immediately get victimized by blacks and Hispanics because there were a lot more blacks and Hispanics in prisons.
Always the numbers with the most pick on the least.
Yeah. And particularly if you came out of the Southern California, LA County, blacks run that. And if you go in there, not a single white boy ever comes to prison with a pair of shoes from LA County.
Yeah.
They just automatically lose their shoes. That's part of the game.
Yeah.
But so, anyway, so Wesley's telling me, he goes, so I said, well, look. I said, I don't really need anything. He goes, what do you mean you don't need anything? He goes, what about protection? I said, I do all right. He goes, no, you don't understand. I said, no, I do understand. I said, I do my little program. I said, nothing against you guys. You guys do whatever the hell you guys have been doing.
Yeah.
I said, but I got 13 years to do, and I plan to go home to my wife and son.
So you were trying to be independent.
Yeah. And so he's like, what? And they're kind of confused. So he goes, we got to talk about this. So they kind of waved me off. So I go out and I start walking the yard. And the thing about Folsom is they have a track.
Right.
And I knew about this track because this track was done in a movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. About a guy who was an Olympic runner who could break the Olympic record, but he didn't get to come out of the thing. But the track was actually built for the movie.
Wow.
The problem is the track is nowhere near your size to be that. It's like a little tiny track.
Yeah.
So they had to keep doing multiple camera shots all the way around.
Okay.
So that showed that he actually did this thing.
Yeah.
So anyway, a few days go by, and I I suddenly get told that I have to go into the smokers. And the smokers was a fight ring that they had on the yard.
Fight ring. Uh-oh.
And the thing was that though they called it boxing,
Yeah.
it really wasn't anything to do with Marcus Queensberry's rules or anything else.
Yeah.
It's just go in there and try to do your best.
Mm-hmm.
And they told me that, we're going to pick somebody to fight you. So, okay. Well, you better be there. And I said, okay.
Yeah.
Because they said, because your only other choice is you got to go, PC up. You got to lock up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll be there. You
Yeah.
know. And they're kind of looking at me because, like, I'm a nobody as far as they're concerned.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm 30 years old, which is older than most of the guys getting there initially.
Do they know your military history?
No.
Okay.
They basically knew I was a biker because of some of my tattoos, but other than that, they didn't.
Yeah.
And I spoke to a couple of bikers that I knew people in their clubs.
Yeah.
So a couple of bikers I kind of touched bases with, but I really wasn't hanging with the bikers either.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the guys explained to me that anybody who gets challenged to go in a smoker, if they belong to one of those groups,
Yeah.
has to go in there.
Yeah.
Because if otherwise they don't save face for their group and it shows weakness in their group, and
they'll all smash you.
Yeah, so they'll smash the guy for not going in.
Yeah.
So, but the one guy tells me, look, they're going to pick somebody who's awful big and, probably really strong.
Yeah.
Well, one thing I learned a long time ago is muscles don't mean anything. And generally the guys who have the biggest muscles are slow, and they don't know how to fight. That's why they got big muscles, so people will be afraid not to fight them and all that stuff. So anyway, so we get in up there and the cops would be out there watching these because it's kind of free entertainment
They
for
make
them.
bets on them probably.
And, I'm sure they did.
Yeah.
Anyway, but they ring the bell.
Yeah.
And they tell you, okay, we're going to ring the bell, and we don't unring the bell until somebody's unconscious.
And this is the cops saying
This is the cops saying.
Yeah.
So they bring over the gloves, and they give us. They're like 8-ounce gloves. They're not big gloves. They're like, very thin, padded gloves. And so I step in, and sure enough, this big guy gets in there. I mean, and I'm 5'6", and this guy's like I said, probably closer to the 6 foot mark, and and the guy walks up and tells me, okay, I'm not going to hurt you too much, but I've got to hurt you because they expect me to. And I said, okay, ditto. He goes, what? I said, I won't hurt you too much, but I'll have to hurt you as much as I need to. And he kind of looks at me, and he kind of shooks like and they're all smiling because they know this is a done deal. So the guy turns back around and he goes, okay, I tell you what, I'm going to be fair. You get first shot. I said, okay. So I stepped right up, punched him as hard as I could in the throat, kicked his knee out from under and grabbed his face and slammed it on my knee, and he was now unconscious, unable to breathe, and couldn't stand. And I turned around and I said, next.
Bloody hell.
And the cop's standing there, and all of a sudden the cop goes, ding. And everybody's just staring at me. And I go, okay. And I climbed out and I walk over and I just go about my business.
Yeah.
And guys going by pointing at me, secret shit, secret shit. I hear this, right?
Yeah.
So this one cop comes over to me and he goes, were you military by any chance? So I'm down. He goes, I'm going to go look at your C-file. Yeah, I don't know what that. I didn't know what a C-file was at the
I don't
time.
know what that means either.
Well, that's your central file. That's everything about you is supposed to be in your central file.
Okay.
And they have the part that you're allowed to see at certain times, and
Yeah.
then there's the confidential sections.
Yeah.
Well, he goes off. I don't think anything more about it.
Yeah.
So a few days later, I get told that I've got to go back in the smokers because they think that was a fluke.
Same dude. He's lost face now.
Well, no,
Different dude.
No, it's going to be a different dude.
Okay.
But because now they've got a guy who's trained in karate, and this guy is going to hurt me. This guy's going to do severe damage to me, and they're telling me this to see what kind of response they get. And I went, oh, okay. And they go, do you know karate? And I told them, no, absolutely do not. Well, he knows really good karate. Okay. So, again, I talked to a couple of bikers, and they said, yeah, they're telling me about the guy. I said, yeah, the guy's got a black belt in karate, and apparently, he did some exhibitions at some county fairs and blah, blah, blah. And
Yeah.
he's in here because he used some karate on some guy and broke his arm, and so he's hired for assaults and stuff.
Yeah.
And I went, okay. And the guy goes, you gonna fight? I guess. I mean, why not? And he knows karate. I went, yeah, okay,
He's not been tortured in the Panamanian jungle.
Yeah, so I
Vietnam.
go in this thing, and the guy's getting there, and he does this whole thing. Whoa! He's doing all this warm-up stuff. And just as he starts to step towards me, I drop all the way down to one knee, and I shove my right fist as deep up into his testicles as I can, and drive him up into his chest, and watch his eyes roll back to white, and just fall over. And then I basically got up and I slammed his head into one turnbuckle, and then walked him over and slammed him in another turnbuckle.
Yeah.
And then I threw him out of the ring.
That was all she wrote.
And I looked at everybody and said, next. And they're again, they've got this like, don't know what to talk about.
Yeah.
So then I get out of the ring, and later that day I was going to chow, and that cop came up and goes, read your file. He says, U.S. Marines, huh? I said, yeah. What unit? He said, Force Recon. He went, oh, crap. He goes, Special Forces. I said, Special Ops.
Yeah.
He goes, yeah. He goes, like the Green Berets. I said, oh, no, we're better than they are. And the guy's like, he goes, I keep that under wraps. So, oh, okay.
Yeah.
So then the next day I get a job. And my job is to be a surgical tech at Folsom.
Yeah.
And they send me up, and I meet this doctor named Dr. Texter. And he read the thing about what I did there at Vacaville.
Yeah.
And he goes, so you're real qualified. I said, so. So he goes, well, there's 5 of us doctors. We each have a surgical tech working for us. He goes, you're the only one that's qualified. The others have learned while they've been here. So they can do stuff, but they're not, they don't hands-on like you.
Yeah.
He goes, here's what we do. You'll be taking out BBs when the guys get shot with the shotguns, and usually come from the other San Quentin over here. You'll be taking out sebaceous cysts. Some guys need to get tattoos cut or burned off their necks and hands because they're going back out the streets and they don't want to have that baggage.
Yeah.
And you'll assist me with anything that I need you to assist with. And then you'll do general bandage change and stuff. And he goes, you got a problem with that? No. You know how to use a sterilizer? Yes, I do, because we sterilize our own equipment and stuff. It's okay. So he goes, you're my guy. You don't have to work for anybody else unless you choose to, but you're my guy.
Yeah.
Okay. So he walks me over and introduces me to the inmate lab techs there and the inmate x-ray techs, and walks me over to introduce me to the other surgical techs. So I meet this guy, Juan Greer, big black guy, got 26-inch biceps. He's BGF. I need to meet this guy, that's Paco Joe, and he's Mexican Mafia.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then I meet this really squirrely white guy, that looks like he's, constantly on a dope high, but his eyes are bouncing every which way, and he's kind of sweating nervously. And then there's Wesley Tucker, the guy that I met that's the shot caller that I just had the first meeting with. He's the lead surgical tech at that time.
Wow.
And I go, oh, hey, Wes, how's it going? And he's like, what are you doing here? And the guy goes, well, he was a Navy corpsman. And he was, and so he's qualified to be a surgical tech. And he goes, well, you didn't tell me you were in the service. Didn't know I was supposed to.
Yeah.
So the doc leaves, so we're all standing there. And Wesley goes, you got to understand, I run things here.
Right.
So I don't care. He goes, I'll have you know that I'm with the Aryan Brotherhood. I said, I rode with the Confederate Devils. He looks at me and he goes, well, I've been in prison for 5 years. I said, I did my time in Vietnam. He looks at me. I go, are you impressed? He goes, what? I said, I'm not impressed. Are you impressed? We can do this all day long. We want to trade our credentials. I can do this with you.
Yeah.
And he goes, you don't understand. I can have you hurt. I said, you've already tried. And he's like, I said, but can you hurt me? He goes, what? I said, you said you can have me hurt, but can you hurt me?
Man on man.
And he takes a step back. Well, I'm out of here. And he walks around me, takes off. And Juan Greer just starts laughing. This big old black guy, he just starts laughing. He goes, I just sold tickets to see that. He goes, I've never seen anybody make him shut up and run.
But now you've bruised his ego.
Yeah, and he goes, you've made a real enemy there.
Yeah.
He goes, he's not going to take kindly to this.
Mm-hmm.
He goes, just watch your back. I said, not a problem. So I get back to my orientation cell, because I'm still in orientation there.
And you've got your own little single cell.
My own single cell.
Yeah.
And I get a cell move. Now I'm moving to 3 building.
Okay.
3 buildings, regular mainline cell.
Yeah.
And I get over there and the cop walks me up, but it's still single cells. But it's really funny because as I'm walking down the tier, my next door neighbor over here, his bottom bunk has been moved up to be a top bunk.
Yeah.
Even though we don't have, he didn't need. But what's he got under there is he's got a saddle tree where he's making leather saddles, real full-size saddles in his cell, because that's his hobby.
Wow.
And so he sleeps in the bunk and works on down below. So I go in there, and he tells me, about an hour after I get there, he goes, psst, hey, psst. And I go, yeah? And he goes, you're new here, right? And I go, yeah. And he goes, you're the one that Wesley doesn't like, huh? And I go, yeah. And he goes, here, I got something for you. And I'm like, yeah, because I already know about don't accept stuff in prison.
Yeah.
And he goes, you'll need this. And he hands me around 3 LA County phone books. And the LA County phone books are about 4.5 inches thick.
Yeah.
And a roll of duct tape.
Yeah.
He goes, make yourself a vest. You're going to need it. And of course, at that time, they used to issue us Navy pea coats, these big wool coats.
Yeah.
And Folsom gets really cold. And so I make this vest up, out of the phone books and duct tape and stuff. And he goes, you want a knife? Tell him, no.
Ooh.
I said, because I already told myself, if I take a knife, if I carry a knife in prison, I'll never get out of prison.
Yeah.
Because I'll use it. I know how to use it, and I'll use it very well.
Yeah.
My thing is not to kill anybody if I can avoid it.
Of course, yeah.
But I also said that if I have to, I'll cripple them. Because I can explain crippling at a board. I can't explain killing at a board. That was my mentality, my thoughts anyway.
Yeah.
It seemed more sensible for some reason. So anyway, I come out, I go to the yard, I keep getting watched, guys who don't know what to do. And next thing I know, other white guys are now hanging out with me and not being a part of the stuff.
But hasn't he green lighted you?
Well, he's told people this,
Yeah.
Well, he actually gone to the BGF to give them the opportunity to stab me. And Juan Greer told them absolutely not.
Okay.
He told the guys, no.
Yeah.
He goes, we're not going to help him, but we're not going to hurt him. We're just going to watch this because this is getting really fun. And then he went over and told the shot caller from the Mexican Mafia and the Pi says, hey, nobody backs the white boys on this. This is him, a them type thing. We're not even involved in this.
Yeah.
So there's this old white guy in the yard, and we're out there one day, and he walks over and he says, I don't know what to think of you. He goes, you're either one of the toughest guys I've ever met.
Yeah.
Or more likely, you're one of the stupid and craziest guys I've ever met. He goes, I kind of hope it's the second one, because if you're that tough, he goes, there's going to be a bloodbath one of these days, and I don't want to be around, because you're either going to kill a lot of people or they're going to kill you.
Yeah.
And it's going to take a lot of them to do it. And there's going to be a lot of shooting. And he goes, I don't like shooting. He goes, and he gave me a line that I used many years later. He goes, all my life, he goes, I've never been allergic to anything but one thing, and that's small lead projectiles entering my body at a high rate of velocity. Ruins my whole day.
Yeah.
And he goes, I don't want to be around you when that starts happening.
Yeah.
So anyway, he tells me, but watch yourself, because they're still trying to figure out. But then I find out from one of the runners for the BGF that nobody else is going to help him. It's going to come out. And now they're upset, because they went to the bikers because they knew I had some click with them. Bikers said, hey, he's a patch holder.
Yeah.
We're not going against him.
Yeah.
Why would we do that?
Mm-hmm.
So now they're really limited. Now they've only got a body of about 15 guys that they can actually send against me.
Yeah.
The 2 guys I already fought, they're not going to come against me again, because they don't want them to get beat again.
Yeah.
Because then it really looks bad. One time, okay, that could be a fluke. Wesley's not going to come against me, and the 2 upper shot callers aren't going to come against me because they're both older guys, and So now it's this small little group of people they've really got.
But couldn't they send them all in at once?
Yeah, so they're thinking about it.
Yeah.
But at that time, they didn't do that.
Okay.
At that time, they didn't have that cowards running pack mentality.
Okay.
At that time, the most they were to do is send 2 guys after you.
So it's all man on man almost.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
So the thing was, there were a lot of blind spots at Folsom.
Yeah.
And one of the places was down Blood Alley, a place called Blood Alley where a lot of
Yeah.
stabbings would happen.
Yeah.
Because the gunner has to almost turn around to try to shoot down the alley. There's no clear shot for the gunners.
Right, I see.
And the only other
Yeah.
tower is way up on the top of the Industry Hill.
Yeah.
And unless you were a crack marksman, you ain't hitting nothing from up there.
Okay.
It's just too far away. You
Yeah.
can record it, but you can't hit it.
Yeah.
Well, when you're on the yard, usually you showered down Blood Alley. They had these showers back there you used.
Mhm.
Well, I don't shower in the yard. I saw no need to go down there. But
Yeah.
anyway, one day, I happened to be walking down the Blood Alley area.
Mm-hmm.
And out of the corner of my eyes, heightened awareness, I see these 2 guys get up from a table where they were playing cards and start walking my way.
Yeah.
So as they come walking up, I see one guy's got his hand cupped.
Yeah.
That tells me he's got something in his hand.
Mm-hmm.
The other guy, I see he's got like a bag in his hand here. So I'm figuring he's got something to throw at me, in probably my face here.
Yeah.
So that distract me so the other guy can stab me. This is my thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Well, as they're walking up together here, and I'm walking here, they're expecting me to go this way. So I suddenly did this.
Okay.
And when I spun back around to my right,
Yeah.
the guy with the bag decides to throw the stuff. Well, he ends up hitting the other guy partially in the face with this, like it's like an ash, soda ash type stuff they got from and it would actually cause part blindness.
Where'd they get it from?
From the industry, because they do license plates and they had all this chemicals. So they had this powdered soda ash because
Yeah.
they couldn't get liquids down. And so he throws it and he gets the guy on the left side of the face. The guy turns and the guy, of course, now reaches out with all his distance to get me.
Yeah.
Well, he catches me right across my hand. I got a slight scar, you can see
Oh, yeah.
here. So he catches me, cuts me just across my hand. Which time I grab him, I turn his hand around, I take the knife away, I throw the knife up on top of the building, I snap his elbow, I throw him to the ground.
Yeah.
The other guy drops the bag because he's already pretty much thrown all of it away, runs towards the showers, yelling, "It wasn't my call, wasn't my call, wasn't my call. I didn't mean anything." At which point in time, 3 guys come out of the shower and start beating him up
Beating them for failing the
for
mission.
failing the mission and for yelling that it wasn't his call, it wasn't his
Yeah.
call. And the guy is on the ground with the broken elbow.
Mm-hmm.
I kicked him 6-7 times in the ribs and told him, next time you won't walk if you come after me.
Yeah.
And I walk away.
Yeah.
So about a week goes by, and finally I get the rumors that it's now coming to a head.
Mm-hmm.
And part of my job in the hospital was we had patients from time to time, so I had to take library books back to the library, exchange them.
Yeah.
So I'm walking out one day, and I'm walking along the fence line with both hands full of books.
Yeah.
And there's Wesley Tucker, and he's got like 9 guys behind him.
Mm-hmm.
And we're right behind the bakery, which is right their walkway. And he walks up to me,
Mm-hmm.
and he goes, "We've got to resolve this. We got to resolve it today."
Mm-hmm.
I told him, "Okay." He goes, "So here's the deal. You can't be independent. That ain't gonna go no more."
Yeah.
He goes, "I'm gonna give you some choices. You can come be a torpedo for me.
Mm-hmm.
You can come be a mule for me.
Mm-hmm.
You can PC up,
Mm-hmm.
or you can become my punk because I need a new old lady."
So he's basically calling you out the last
Right.
2.
And he's got these other guys, and I could see knives in some of these other guys' waistbands. And he goes, because otherwise, he goes, "I'm going to have you stuck."
Yeah.
He goes, "So make a choice." And he goes, "I kind of hope you pick number 4 because I really need a new old lady."
Oh,
And
my
he turns
God.
for a moment, and he smiles at the guys behind him.
That's the worst thing you can call him a punk.
And when he turns back around, I go, "I'll take number 5." And he goes, "5?" At which point in time, I hit him as hard as I could in the chin, knocked him to the ground. I picked him up, and I threw him up on the fence line, and I started hitting him in the solar plex.
Yeah.
I'm not thinking that this can look like this from a gun tower.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, all the guys around him all take off running. Because they know there's guns going to be firing.
Okay. And they shoot to kill here.
Oh, well, the thing was at that time, they shot to kill, particularly if they think there's a weapon.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm hitting him, and he's like, what are you doing? What are you doing? He goes, they're going to shoot us. And I said, are you afraid to die? Right? At which point in time, at that moment, a bullet hit right by my foot, and I snatched him and I spun. And as soon as I spun, a bullet hit right where we were standing on the fence. And I slam him up against the fence again, and I start hitting him across the face with my left hand.
Yeah.
And I hear the alarms going, and I look up, and out of one building comes these cops. And there's this one cop, and he's half Mexican, half Samoan.
Yeah.
He's about
big dude.
6'6", 400-pound solid muscle named Magdaleno. And he's running full bore. And I see him, and as soon as he does, I step back and I open up my hands and spread my fingers so he knows I got no weapon.
Yeah.
And this guy hits me so hard physically, he almost cheese grates me through the chain link fence. I ended up having bruises for 2 weeks that looked like chain links on my back from where he hit me. Knocked all the air out of me, and he's holding the fence and holding me up against it. The other guys come and grab Tucker.
Yeah.
And they take him, and they go and they cuff us, and they take us upstairs above the admin building. And they put us, and they got me in one room, him in another room, and I can hear him. And he's like, man, the guy's crazy. He said he wasn't afraid to die. He's not afraid to die. He's crazy, man. You can't have him around here. And my thought is, this guy's big, bad shot caller, tough guy, gonna have me killed, blah, blah, blah. And he's whining like a broad.
Yeah.
This is my thought, right?
Yeah.
So in comes this big black correctional officer, correctional counselor 3 named Mr. Brown.
Mm-hmm.
So Mr. Brown sits down and he looks at me, got a stub cigar in his mouth, and he goes, so you're not afraid to die? I said, it's not what I said. He goes, what'd you say? I asked him if he was afraid to die.
Yeah.
He goes, well, what's that supposed to mean? So, well, he's the one that kept threatening me. I just wanted to let him know if he's all that, then, are you afraid to die? Because trust me, when this all comes down, you're probably going to not be breathing. Mm. And he goes, did you just make a threat to that man? And I said, no, sir, I have never made a threat in my life. It's a promise. If that man ever gets in my face again, his breathing stops.
Yeah.
I promise you. And I said, the thing about threats is threats are things you don't necessarily mean to keep. I've always kept a promise.
Yeah.
And Brown goes, oh yeah, you're nuttier than a fruitcake. And he gets up and he walks out. And a couple hours later, I get taken over. I get put in kind of an administrative segregation area. And this cop goes, did you just beat Wesley Tucker on the yard? I said, yes, I did. Oh man, it's going to be bad for him. He goes, why didn't you have somebody else do it? And I go, well, he tried. And he goes, are you the guy that got here just a couple weeks ago and already beat some of them up? I said, in the ring? He goes, oh no. Now you're up here? I go, well, yeah. He goes, you're going to be transferred, right? And I go, no. He goes, yeah, you can't do stuff like that here and stay here. He goes, you're going to be going to San Quentin. Okay. 2 days later, I'm at San Quentin.
Wow.
So I get to San Quentin, of course.
They already got word.
Well, they send word right away. So I get there, and this cop walks up to me and goes, we were worried about you's already got here. I said, really? He goes, yeah. And he goes, you're not going to go out to the yard, are you? I said, well, yeah, why not? He goes, they're going to be waiting for you. I said, okay. Well, what I didn't know was Juan Greer had already sent word over and told the brothers over there about me and what I had done, and that I don't play that stuff.
Yeah.
So next thing I know, I come out the yard, I walk over, and they have a little mini shack where they sell hot sandwiches and like milk and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So I'm over there, I'm going to buy me a hot pizzeria type thing.
Yeah.
And the black guy walks up and says, we got this. And he buys me lunch.
So they had your back.
And he goes, here's the deal. He goes, do you know a guy named Pink Pussy? I told him, yes, I do. I said, he's the president of the Unknown Riders Motorcycle Club out of Fresno. Yeah. I'm Tony. I'm his nephew.
Wow.
He already told me that if I ran into you, to give you your props,
Yeah.
because his lieutenant there was one of my guys I served in Vietnam with,
Wow.
who was part of the club. So I knew their club. I used to work on their bikes for them all the time.
Yeah, yeah.
So he says, we here, we are going to keep an eye and ear out for you.
Yeah.
We can't do stuff for you,
Yeah.
but we'll make sure anything that comes to you is going to come straight up.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay. So I'm there. About a week goes by, and I'm walking the track, and I'm going over, and I get to, there's a part of the weight pile where it's kind of like for the others, and nobody really uses it because Asians don't really work out, Native Americans weren't really working out.
Yeah.
Stuff Pisces type of people didn't really. So I'm working out on their weights.
Yeah.
I come off the weight pile, and I see this guy, and he's eyeing me all squirrely, and he's kind of getting close. And every time he starts to get a little close, I step a little further away. He starts to get a little close. Started getting a little close. And all of a sudden, Tony goes, like that.
Yeah.
Meaning he's got a knife, and he had it in his back of his belt.
Right.
He's trying to get close enough to me because he wants to grab my arm so then he can get me. And so I'm circling him, right? And I'm making him follow me.
Yeah.
Well, of course, this makes other guys in the yard see something's going on here.
Yeah.
Finally, the guy pulls the knife out and he runs towards me like this. I was trained, like say, in close quarter combat.
Yep.
Hand-to-hand knife fighting and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the people that I actually did kill in Vietnam was with my knife. So he runs up. I grab his arm because it's all the way extended.
Yeah.
So I grab his arm. I bend it back.
Yeah.
He drops the knife. I kick the knife over. It goes down and drain. Cops spent hours getting it out. I break his wrist here.
Yeah.
I grab his other wrist. I bend it back till I break that wrist.
Mm-hmm.
And then I pulled his arm behind him and I popped him up till I popped both shoulders out.
Oh.
And then I sat him down and said, sit here, somebody will come for you. And I walked away.
Yeah.
And Tony comes running over, and Tony says, well, we were there in case it got dirty. And he had they had knives. There was like 7 of them. They all had big knives. He said, in case you were going to need one, we had your back.
Yeah.
So about an hour later, I'm going in we had to go up these big steps, go up to the upper yard to go back to the cells.
Mm-hmm.
This guy stops me in the cell block and says, that guy had to be taken out to the outside hospital. They're not sure he's going to be able to use those hands anymore. And I said, well, I guess one of you are going to have to wipe his ass for him. So I guess that's how much you guys cared.
Oh, jeez.
And the guy goes, who do you think you are?
Yeah.
I told him, just a guy trying to do my time.
Yeah.
I'd appreciate it if you'd leave me the hell alone.
Oh, man.
And then it was, over the next 2 months, I went into the smoker ring up there 5 more times.
Yeah.
One guy did lay hands on me 3 or 4 times in swinging because he was just too solid for me to take down quickly.
Right.
But most of my fights lasted less than 2 minutes.
Yeah.
He lasted a full 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And I finally ended up having to basically throw my legs around his waist, grab his ears, and fall backwards. And when I got him down that close, I got him in a headlock, and then I put him to sleep.
Yeah.
And then I got up, and then I kicked him multiple times in his testicles so they would swell up so he would think about me, and then stomped on both ankles.
Yeah.
And that was the last fight that I had to do.
Okay.
After that, for the next almost 20 years, I go to prisons and institutions, because then they started making the level 3s, calling all of them prisons.
Yeah.
But after that, people would say, oh yeah, leave Morgan alone. That because in prison they knew me as Morgan. I didn't get a prison moniker. People tried to give me prison monikers, tried to give me Professor, tried to give me Bruiser, tried to give me these different ones. I tell them, no.
So you stayed independent?
I stayed independent.